about yourself?
I can't remember anything.
Every month, they send up a new arrival.
This month, that's you.
The only way out is through the maze. It never takes the same shape twice.
Well, we call them grievers.
We get out now, or we die trying.
Let's go! The Maze Runner, rated PG-13.
I know what you're thinking. Here we go again. It's another Twilight, Hunger Games, Divergent, young adult franchise that's trying to capitalize on the biggest successes of those franchises and fail miserably, right? Well, prepare to be surprised. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we are taking a look at the 4 films that make up September 19th, 2014, and we're starting to get into the movies that a lot of the studios believed in, even though some of them may not turn out to be great. You can at least tell that they knew they probably had something special, and whether or not it worked out is to be determined. And certainly with the first movie we have here, The Maze Runner, prepare to be surprised on how you would feel about this, considering what had come out just before this. But you have the story of Thomas, played by Dylan O'Brien, who recently, as of the time of recording this, was just in Send Help, who wakes up in an elevator remembering nothing but his own name. He emerges into a world of about 60 teen boys who have learned to survive in a completely enclosed environment, subsisting on their own agriculture and supplies. A new boy arrives every 30 days. The original group has been in the Glade for 2 years, trying to find a way to escape through the maze that surrounds their living space. They have begun to give up hope, then a comatose girl arrives with a strange note, and their world begins to change. And as I mentioned before, this was around the time when The Hunger Games and Divergent were the big successes, and The Maze Runner was not as well known as those movies in general. Although they were a series of popular books, it had built up enough of a fan base for Fox to basically say, yeah, let's go ahead and try this out here and see what happens here. And, surprisingly, out of everything that we've seen since the Twilight craze and the Harry Potter craze got started, this is definitely one of the ones where you could tell they really did put in a lot of effort into it. This is a good movie. Nothing spectacular, but considering when we've had to look at with The Giver and, The Seeker, The Dark is Rising, and a bunch of other bad young adult film franchises that we've taken a look at, yeah, this definitely is one of those ones that's definitely the cream of the crop overall. I enjoyed this movie when it first came out. I was actually really surprised to find out that it only cost like $34 million to make. And it goes to show you that you can do Transformer-style action on a small budget and make this look more realistic and cool, unlike the last 3 Transformers movies. I mean, that is absolutely incredible. I mean, they do put a lot of effort into it. The creature effects on the grievers in this are actually pretty spectacular, mixing spiders and robots into this one creepy-looking design that surprisingly works really well. The effects in the maze overall is very impressive as well, with this maze that continues to change every time you go in it. And the story overall is really good, too. The characters are likable enough. They're not really memorable overall. You don't have a Katniss Everdeen that leaves a lasting impact with the Thomas character, but it works very fine, and it does show Dylan O'Brien's potential as a leading actor in the future that we would later see down the road here. The acting is good enough, but nothing truly memorable about it. And while the movie does make you wonder where they could possibly go with it for the next film, you really end up leaving the film with the fact that it's good, but there's nothing really that stands out about it overall. At least with The Hunger Games, there is at least something that you come out of it going like, wow, that was absolutely incredible, and I want to see more of it. And we're going to get more of it in the next couple of months, which will lead to some mixed opinions, but we'll touch on Mockingjay Part 1 in a couple months' time. But The Maze Runner overall, I think, is a nicely paced action movie with some very good action sequences, using that small budget they have very well, some decent characters, a good story, nice visual effects, and really, I can't say it's anything spectacular. It's a good movie, and really going into it without a whole lot of expectations overall, I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed it, and I was really looking forward to see what they would do next with it, but yeah, overall, a good movie, not a great one, but definitely a lot better than I think a lot of us were really expecting it to be, especially considering what had come out before it. So yeah, Maze Runner overall is pretty good. So let's go ahead and move on to what I think is probably easily the best movie of the week, and that's Liam Neeson in A Walk Among the Tombstones.
Detective,
What can I do for you?
someone's kidnapped my wife. Find the men who did this.
Whoever took your wife didn't just pick your name out of a hat.
These guys are monsters. They're not human.
How can I find them?
They'll kill me if I spoke to you.
I understand we have a new player in the game.
Let her go, or you'll be looking behind you for the rest of your worthless life.
A Walk Among the Tombstones. Rated R.
Well, that's a nice trick and all, buddy, but how am I supposed to find the killers if you're just going to jump off the building? I mean, I don't know what they were thinking with that, but hey, it's one of the more memorable scenes you take away from this movie. Liam Neeson stars as a former NYPD cop and private investigator, Matthew Scudder, who's hired by a drug dealer, played by Dan Stevens, to find the killer of his wife in New York City. There's also a girl that gets kidnapped, and it's all connected. And I'll be honest, when I first saw the trailers in this and saw the poster, I thought this was going to be like a supernatural thriller, but it's essentially a crime thriller, making sense because the director of this, Scott Frank, made one of the best underrated movies from 2007, the crime thriller The Lookout, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Jeff Daniels, which do share a lot of the same elements carried over here. And this really was an outstanding movie overall. This is one of those ones where you really did not expect it to be as intense as it is, or know what. It's one of those ones where it does what a good crime thriller should do. It plays with your expectations and leads into a lot of really cool things that you didn't expect to see coming overall. You know, Liam Neeson, once again, always a thrill to see on screen, and he's actually toned down in this version compared to some of his other movies in general. He does give it his all while also playing it down to earth overall. I mean, I couldn't also help but think in a lot of scenes that he looked a lot like Robin Williams in The Night Listener, which is another great underrated crime thriller. I mean, watch The Night Listener, then watch this movie, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The action sequences overall and the suspense overall are really good. They're very tense. You really are invested in what's going to happen and how it's going to play out in the end. If there's any big flaws about the movie in general, it's that the killers in the movies don't really have a motivation. They're basically rogue DEA agents who just go out and kill women. That's about it. They don't really go into much detail why they're doing it. It just kind of sort of happens. A little more explanation on the villain's motivations or how they even met would have been beneficial overall. But it's just kind of like, nope, this is what they do. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but then again, maybe it's probably for the best after the last Liam Neeson movie, Nonstop, gave the villains a really stupid excuse for doing what they did. But another thing that I will say against the film overall is that you kind of predict what's going to happen towards the end. For the most part, the movie does a good job of playing with your expectations overall. But then by the end of it, it's just kind of like, oh, we're going to go down the predictable route as we usually do. And that really is just like, you know the villains are going to get their comeuppance. Somebody's going to get killed. The villain's going to get cuffed to something. He'll break out. The cop will come in. The villain will try to kill him again. And then the villain will be shot by the cop. Lather, rinse, repeat. And yes, this movie falls into those cliches. But to its credit, I will give him credit. The execution of the final sequence is nicely done. And I did not predict what was going to happen there. But yeah, those predictable elements do kind of come back, especially towards the end of the film, but I still really enjoy this movie a lot. It has a great visual style to it, a strong performance by Liam Neeson, great action and suspense, a really good payoff at the end, even though it was starting to get predictable at first, but they found a way to make something incredibly unique about it. It did a better job of adapting Matthew Scudder to the big screen than 1986's 8 Million Ways to Die did. Yeah, it could be predictable, but on the whole, it was still enough great entertainment value to recommend it as one of the strongest movies to come out that year easily. This was definitely one of the highlights of 2014. A Walk Among the Tombstones is an outstanding, outstanding film. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, the ensemble comedy, This Is Where I Leave You.
3 months ago, I had a great job and a nice apartment, and I was in love with my wife.
When?
How long?
A year.
First time. On our sides.
Hello.
I imagine by now you are well into the excessive facial hair phase of your depression.
It's not a good time, Wendy.
Dad's dead.
What? Hi, sis.
Mommy.
What's different about her?
The boobs. She had a little touch-up.
Your father had one final request, and we are going to honor it. He just wanted his kids under one roof. So for the next 7 days, you are all grounded.
What? Oh, no, we're just sitting in an awkward silence.
So if you've ever wanted that crossover with Nick Wilde, Liz Lemon, Kylo Ren, and Yellow Jacket from Ant-Man, and their mother is Jane Fonda, you got your movie right here. This Is Where I Leave You, which is a film directed by Sean Levy. And needless to say, this is definitely a lot better than his last movie, The Internship. So you have the 4 siblings of the Altman family, Bateman, Faye, Driver, and Stahl, reuniting at their childhood home after their father dies. They are all grounded for a week of sitting Shiva at their father's last request. Jane Fonda stars as the mother of the family, and the film also features Connie Britton, Catherine Hahn, Timothy Olyphant, Rose Byrne, Abigail Spencer, and Dax Shepard. And here's the thing about Sean Levy. Like I said before, he's a comfort food director. He's a guy that very rarely makes a bad movie. The worst thing he ever did was the last thing we just took a look at with him, and that was The Internship, which was not a good movie. It was a bad film, written by people who clearly are stuck in the, old guy, we know what the kids want to know, and just like, we're too stupid to figure out how to use a computer, because that was the biggest problem with the whole movie. It was literally a movie about Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn are too stupid to work at Google because they're too old. Just like, what's the joke? But yeah, this movie was not only a nice return to form for him, it's not only one of his best films, but it's one of my favorite movies that came out this year. I mean, like I said, this is a really damn good weekend for movies. I really did find myself enjoying a lot of this movie. It steers more closely to a movie like Parenthood, which had a TV show around this time, but this is more like the movie than some of the more recent dysfunctional family dramedies like The Family Stone, Dan in Real Life, This Christmas. Many of these elements in here could make this much closer to a modern-day version of Parenthood. It finds a good balance of comedy and drama, and the cast overall is great in here. The chemistries work very well, the relationships work, the family dynamic is nicely done, and it never goes over the top and predictable like a movie like August Osage County did last year, which was a terrible movie. This movie finds that balance between making itself work as a whole without going too far in terms of the dramatic elements to it. A lot of the acting is really good in here. Jason Bateman and Tina Fey are great. They show off more serious material here. They give a chance to show what they can do in general here. Corey Stoll I thought was pretty good. Adam Driver's really good in here. Jane Fonda. Everyone in here does their job here pretty well. There is one major flaw to the film, and it does involve the ending of the film. Another movie where the ending, unfortunately, kind of steers the film down a little bit, but never to the point where I would say it's not bad. But here's the thing. Towards the end of the movie, they reveal this big twist about Jane Fonda's character. And while the twist itself is good, and I like the aftermath of what happened to it, the film doesn't really do a good job of foreshadowing it. There's only one scene where you get an indication of something is wrong with Fonda in this, and this other person that's part of the twist, but that's about it. More subtle hints probably would have been better than those stupid scenes about Faye's son using the potty. Yeah, this one has a lot of gross-out humor, and I know something like Parenthood had some gross-out humor too, but not to the extent of this film. Yeah, sorry to interrupt the review, but take a look at this. That, my friends, is what we call a snow squall. Yeah, it is snowing like crazy out there. You can barely see what's going on. Jesus. Yeah, man, just look at this. This looks like a horror movie, really. I might do something stupid here. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah, this literally looks like the start of like The Thing or something like that. Yeah, just look at that, man. I know we're supposed to be getting to a review here, but yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get one of these again. Anyway, sorry about that, but back to the review. Like I said, man, like, Sean Levy, you could have just kept the shit jokes out of your more adult story just this once, but yeah, despite those problems, I did find this movie enjoyable. I did enjoy it a lot more than I was hoping for. It's one of the better dysfunctional family dramedies out there, and it does have a lot of elements that make it more like a modern version of Parenthood. It has its flaws, but as far as the film executed itself pretty well for the most part, it did a pretty good job with it overall. It's definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. Oh, and by the way, fuck those last 10 seconds, man. They pull a How I Met Your Mother style BS move by contradicting what we had established earlier in the final 10 seconds of the movie. They almost had it, but then they basically just pulled it out the rug from you. It's just like, it's one of the year's best movies, but I'll say this. Leave before Jason Bateman takes Adam Driver's car for a ride. Then you will see a good movie. Other than that, yeah. You pretty much just saw something really bad that happens in the last 10 seconds. It's literally the last 10 seconds of the movie, too. But anyway, this is where I leave you, and this is where I leave you to go ahead and talk about our last film that we have here. The black sheep of this weekend, that is for damn certain, and that is Kevin Smith's latest film, Tusk.
Help me. I was abducted. Your life as you knew it is over, Mr. Brighton. This guy wants to turn me into an animal. I'm so scared.
Tusk. Rated R.
And Justin Long is not kidding. This guy is literally trying to turn this guy into an animal. And we're going to touch on that in a second here. But this is Tusk, and this is Kevin Smith's black comedy body horror movie that's his first major wide release since Cop Out, which yeah, not a very good sign, especially after that he did Red State, which was not a good movie. But in this film, Justin Long plays a narcissistic nymphomaniac podcaster who travels to Canada for an interview, and in the process meets an eccentric retired sailor played by Michael Parks, who decides to use his dark plans related to his obsession with a walrus named Mr. Tusk. And I think you can tell from that, and also the fact that the poster literally looks like what Justin Long is going to look like afterwards, that, yeah, this is one of those movies that's, yeah, you can tell Kevin Smith was channeling his inner David Cronenberg, which is funny because I'm going to talk about David Cronenberg's The Fly later on time about the movie's flashback, but, yeah, this is a very odd movie, to say the least. I can't say it's a great movie, but at least unlike Red State, there is at least a fun idea here with this movie in general. There is an idea and a sense of what Kevin Smith's trying to accomplish here. It may be fucked up, but it's at least entertaining and at least engaging to watch overall, even if it is so messed up overall. And hey, Justin Long and Michael Parks work off each other very well. Haley Joel Osment actually has a nice role in here. Genesis Rodriguez is pretty good. So yeah, I guess I can honestly say that it's not a bad movie. It's a very unique film from Kevin Smith, which, that's the best way to describe the movie. Very unique. I mean, this is unique in a similar way to something like Human Centipede in a way, except that first movie was fascinating in its own unique ways, and this is fascinating in its own unique ways as well, but not certainly on the same level as Human Centipede, but you get the idea. It's a really odd movie, but for Kevin Smith, it at least has more ambition to it than something like Cop Out or Red State did, so gotta give him credit for that. And certainly, since his next movie is going to be back to him just not giving a fuck with Yoga Hosers, which supposedly this movie and Yoga Hosers are part of the same trilogy. But needless to say, this is definitely the better of those films. And I don't even think there is even a trilogy there. I think after Yoga Hosers was a huge flop, it's just kind of like, we don't want to nobody wants to see the continuation of that story. So yeah, I'm just rambling on at this point. But yeah, Tusk is definitely an oddity to say the least, but a unique oddity. I'll give it that. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we'll take a look at the last two films of September 2014. A good double feature once again. We've got Denzel Washington starring in The Equalizer, based off the television series from the 80s, directed by Antoine Fuqua. And Laika is back with a brand new movie. The same people that gave us, of course, Coraline and Paranorman now give us The Box Trolls. Probably their weakest film overall, but certainly not a bad movie at all. We'll touch on that one coming up on the next episode. That'll be tomorrow, of course. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode as well. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.